Okay, so here's an exercise we're doing. It's kind of a lower pulley height, and we're doing a narrow overhand grip. So, and this is to work on posture. So she's purposely rounding her upper back, then she's going to drive up and squeeze. So the goal is to get these muscles used to squeezing and holding tight. So what that'll do is that'll help them stay tighter on movements like bench, squat, and deadlift, and then also just regular life in general. It'll help her posture overall. So that's our main goal of this exercise, is just to wake up that upper back and get the muscles in between the shoulder blades used to working and getting them nice and strong. Cool. Okay, so this is that standing cable row again. And again, we're doing narrow grip just to work a different spot of the back compared to the wider grip on the other exercise. And I wanted to just review like why we're doing a standing variation and a seated variation in the same workout. So the standing one, you can see that my mom, while she's changing her posture, she has to also deal with balancing her hips, her knees, her ankles. So there's a lot of movement going on in the whole body. So this is going to teach her how to focus in on what her shoulder blades are doing while there's other movements and stuff going on. This also allows us to train that upper back muscles at a little bit of a lighter weight, but have it still feel challenging. So that way we get a lot of training volume on those muscles, versus just trying to always do them heavy or always do them light. So this just adds a little bit of variety to the training while still trying to get that postural stimulus in the training. Okay, so this is a seated row version, so you have a little bit of a wider grip. This just targets different areas of the back, so it emphasizes different places of the back compared to the other exercise. So we're doing the same thing. She's going to let her shoulder blades spread, then she's going to squeeze. Shoulder blades spread, and then she squeezes. So again, we call these bad posture, good posture rows. And the whole goal is just getting that upper back area used to moving and getting these muscles in here nice and strong. So when most people do rows, they keep their shoulders in one place, which means they use a lot of their bicep and a lot of just their lat right there. Now, if they want to use their lat, that would be purposeful, but the biceps probably not. This is how you just change your row to be more mid-back and in between the shoulder blades. You're still going to get your lats involved, but you're going to ensure that you actually get the middle of your back involved as well with this technique. So the standing version is lighter, and this is a heavier variation. Excellent. Okay, so here's the seated rows again, and again we're working on posture. So what I told my mom to do on these ones was to add a pause at the contraction. So she's going to pull back and pause. Sometimes when people are working on postural issues, they might find that they have an imbalance from one side to the other, or they have a hard time feeling if their back is actually tight. So by adding a pause, if they were to pull back and one side wasn't quite tight, that would give them kind of like a second or a split moment there to kind of re-tighten both sides and get everything nice and even. And again, if a person is pulling back and they couldn't tell if they were all the way tight, you'd have them hold like this and then cue them to actually try to tighten again. So she'll pull and hold. Now try to squeeze again, Mom. Squeeze again. Excellent job. So that enforces that that's a really good tight squeeze. Cool? Okay, so here we have a setup. We're using some bands, banded resistance with dumbbell presses. So we have some big heavy dumbbells down here as the anchors. My mom then puts the band into her hand, as you could see, and then she has the dumbbells. And what this is doing, our goal is to have her squeeze her back at the bottom of every rep. So she goes to the bottom, she squeezes her back and then presses. What we were finding with her press, she was having some shoulder pains on her right side. And what we found was that the muscles in between the shoulder blades were actually loosening as she would press upward. And that made her shoulder unstable. She would fire off her front shoulder muscle too much, and then that would give her that pain. So we're pairing this with those other back exercises to make her more aware of what her back is doing. And then the bands are just adding a lot of instability and wobbliness that her shoulder blades have to anchor down and be tighter even more so to fight against. Okay, so what we switched to now is we are not using the bands. So the bands added some instability feeling to us and allowed my mom to feel if her back was getting loose, and actually gave quite a bit of challenge to them being loose or not. So now we went ahead and went back to straight weight, which would be more the regular way that we would be using our back tightness when pressing, say, a dumbbells or barbell. So now this is getting rid of the wobbliness of the bands, and she has to deal with the tightness and the heaviness of the weight. So at the bottom, she's retightening, reflexing in between her shoulder blades, and she's trying to press while keeping those shoulder blades tight. So again, by dropping off the bands, it lets us focus on more weight resistance rather than the instability resistance. So the instability is good to start with, to get everything primed and ready, and then you want to work to the heavier weights. Cool.